prejudice is still alive and well in America. Very few people of color actually working here. If you walk around the mall, there's not many people working that are African American. And based on the number of population, it should be more, shouldn't there? There's a reason for that. I don't think it's by accident. I think it's systemic. I think it's real. If I'm on a job site, I can get the job easily with my resume and the way I speak, but as soon as they see me, they question whether a person of color, how a person of color gets the skills that I get, and how they got to get them. And I'm always on that having to prove myself every day to hold on to a job. And I think that if you squeeze people of color out of the job market, which they have been, then what do you do with them? I don't know if it's conscious. I don't know if it's in people's minds or it's been placed there. I just know it's real.
It's being stopped by 4 officers also on the way to your computer job, being told that you were a witness stealing copper by 2 white men who you've never seen before.
Got, white privilege, then you're not going to really be thinking that way. Just something you have to learn and be familiar with so that you can fully include people. It turns neighbor against neighbor. It makes people's lives worse.
Lock them up. I don't gotta say the names. Them people are a damn shame. Now who they gonna blame? They put you in a bind, just messing with your mind. Don't even read the documents, acting like they're blind. Them trifling fools wanna take control of you, stealing all our money like no one else's do. Just lock them up and throw the key away. Zip it ear to ear, saying nothing we wanna hear. I said lock them up. I don't gotta say the names. Them people are a damn shame. Now who they gonna blame? They put you in a bind, just messing with your mind. Don't even read the documents, just acting like they're blind. Them trifling fools wanna take control of you, stealing all our money like no one else's do. Just lock them up and throw the key away. Zip it ear to ear, saying nothing we wanna hear.
I'm from France, but I'm currently living in Canada, in Montreal.
And we're talking about what does prejudice look like to you?
So for me, the idea of prejudice is related to judging people in a way. You usually hear people saying, don't judge, but what you need to not do is rather don't lock yourself in your judgment. You need to judge yourself to protect yourself against obviously bad situations, but always be ready to change your opinion on people.
Prejudice for me, being a white woman, is for me, I'm really only affected by it because of my sex, because my gender, because I identify as a woman. Prejudice and oppression to me is something that's definitely not spoken of enough for people to be able to understand what it truly is. The more privilege that you have in society, the harder it is to understand prejudice. So it's definitely not something that's brought to the table enough. Mainly because people don't have to be aware of it because it doesn't affect them personally. Like racial issues don't affect me personally because I'm white. So for me, it would be harder. It is harder to understand these issues, but when they're spoken of and when people are more open about it, it makes it a lot easier for me to understand what these issues are, and then that's when we can start working on solutions.
So what does prejudice look like to you?
Basically, the treatment that I receive when I am in a group or when I'm with someone of a different race or different even different denomination. Because we have differences, those differences are recognized. For me, the first difference that is recognized as far as prejudice is the fact that I'm of a different skin color, that I am female, and so because of those differences, I am treated differently. Even though there may be some question that I may have, the person that is treating me, I have already established questions about me or against me because of those two very public facts. Have not examined the other facts of my life because they are below the surface. So they're looking at the fact that I am of color or African American, so therefore there's some things that they already inherently dislike about me. They're also, because I am female, again, there's some things that inherently they dislike. Whether it is because that I'm female, maybe they think I'm bossy. Prejudice comes from learned as well as experiences that we've had in our past. There are some things that, from a prejudice standpoint, not because of color or race, but because of my own likes and dislikes. So it has various colors, it has various attributes, as well as various things that you may or may not know.
How does it look to you?
Well, growing up in the 60s and in the South, in the midst of the South, it was at that time where we went through things where it was hard to deal with as a child, number one. So back in my day, when you went to a water fountain and it said colored only, and you couldn't go to that, even though you wanted water, you couldn't go to it and everything. But one of the things I was taught by my mother is that to never let prejudice get inside of me. We were always taught to treat people on an equal basis, regardless of their skin color. And at that time, you're only talking in the South, you're talking basically blacks and whites. So we were taught to do our best to educate ourselves. After I graduated from college and everything, I never used my skin color, and I refuse to this day to use my skin color as a means of where the government says that you should get this or get that. All I wanted to do was get my foot in the door. Once I got my foot in the door, then I would let my abilities determine who I am and who I was. But I think, to be honest with ourselves, all of us, and to a degree, we're prejudiced about something. If you don't like broccoli and you never ate broccoli, you're prejudiced towards broccoli and you never tasted it. So I think one of our biggest problems is I know that one of our biggest problems is that we're ignorant to other people. And anytime I was just reading a book, and one of the things it talks about is that, especially among our African American community, it said that we are afraid of, there's things that we bring that's fear. And anytime that you're afraid of something and you're not willing to go across your line to meet and talk with somebody, then it's a form of prejudice. Just meeting you guys, we could have just did, we've spent a lot of days together here, but we had to look at each other and say we didn't know each other, but then we decided we were going to get to know each other. So you're filming us because of we're not prejudiced about each other. We are privileged, and I always say this, and I'm going to end with this statement. I believe that you never meet a person in life just by accident. Every relationship, and I'm going to say this here, that God made is supposed to be a relationship that's forever. He always talks about eternity, not just time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I'm a recent 4-year college graduate. But one of the papers that I did, it was in reference to the Civil Rights Act. And I did not realize until I completed a lot of research, even though I grew up in the era, I didn't realize the impact of the changes that were made. The Board of Education, as far as Brown versus Education, and the various things that had occurred, how important that came to be to the education that we receive now, how important that became for the jobs that we have now. And the interesting thing is also that the number of people that were for it were also outnumbered to a degree for the people who were against it. And so it actually takes your tenacity to get anything forward. And if you don't have the tenacity to move forward, then you're going to continue to be in a line of prejudice about something or about someone. And so it is important that, as he stated earlier about more or less crossing the line, our ignorance is what keeps us in prejudices. Because if you don't know about something, just you crossing the street just because of the color of my skin, because you are associating with me with the bad experience that you have, then at that point you're not getting to know me. You're not taking the time to recognize it. Just because you were mugged, say, by a black individual does not necessarily mean that I'm going to mug you as well. So again, we're looking into making sure that our ignorance is, that we turn that around to a point of where we are educated about each other. I'll end with this. Everywhere you go, everywhere we go, there's going to be a prejudice of some sort. It may not necessarily be directed at us. We make those decisions daily. Whether we're prejudiced against a blue dress or a green dress, we make those decisions. And so we see it everywhere we go. It's just not limited, even though that's the only thing we're associated with a lot of times is the ethnicity or the race, because that's where the word became more prevalently used. But we make those discriminating decisions every day.
It's our mission in life to be kind to one another.
Syndrome on the beat, so you know it's slap.
So what does prejudice look like to you?
It's being stopped by 4 officers whilst on the way to a computer
Don't smile.
job. Okay, you know what, we're done here.
Wait, one more time.
Smile. I want to see your pain.